Night Stalker, Dragon Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Demon Stalker, Rift Stalker, Grom Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Scourge Stalker, Wind Runner, I'm a pony, Elite Skill Hunter, a Death Dealer, a Life Stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome.
Welcome to episode 213 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Solarflair from Warcraft Hunters Union and Cloak and Quiver.
I'm Delirium from Thrill of the Wild, the Warcraft Hunters Union, and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
And I'm Artemishowl from the Warcraft Hunters Union and at Artemishowl on Twitter.
Today is Sunday, March 15th, 2015, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. You can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Alessandra, is there to take your questions. And, well, this is kind of this will be a fun show today. Hopefully it's kind of a bittersweet, as it were. We've got some cool announcements, fun hunter topics to talk to, and yet I believe this also is going to be Solarflair, your last episode with us as you prepare to move on to the next journey in your life and head off to Blizzard, which we're all very excited and, of course, majorly jealous of.
Yay!
I can't. I'm very excited. I can't wait. It's going to be a very busy month. I'm already starting to lose sleep over just the amount of stuff that I have to do on such a short time clock. So I'm going to be going to Hawaii, too, in a couple days for a vacation. It's going to be like the last family vacation, I guess. At least that's what my parents told me. So I'm going to have 6 days out there, and then when I get back, I have 2 days to pack up everything and move. And oh my gosh, it's just stuff to get out there and put in a U-Haul. And oh my goodness. But I'm excited. I'm so excited. It's what I've always wanted to do, and I've made it this far, and here we are. So
yeah,
but it's gonna be great. But yeah, I got like 5 hours of sleep last night just because I had a roommate situation out there and then it fell through. I recommend you guys don't use Craigslist to find places to live. It might work from time to time, but I did get kind of burned and I was like, oh shoot. So thankfully I've got some guildmates actually in and around the LA area, quite a few of them. And they came through, so I got a place that's still pretty close to work and everything like that. So
Nice.
Crisis averted.
Nice.
Yeah, good deal. So what else? Well, Blizzard announced this week that tickets for BlizzCon 2015 are about to go on sale in a month here, actually, exactly 1 month from today, April 15th. So we kind of got together and talked about Team Hunter and getting together again. So Artemis, why don't you talk a little bit about what we're planning and thinking right now?
Well, this year we want to do a room at the Hilton. It's pretty affordable according to what I believe Solarflair found out. So in about a month or two, we're going to start crowdfunding. It's going to be really good to prep out about 7 to 8 months in advance this time. So, we'll have a lot of time to do a lot more stuff and make it, a much better party overall. The room will have like pop-up bars in it, Hilton style. We wanted to crowdfund as well to get goodie bags with more swag in it. We have a lady who is going to do some shirt designs for us, and we have a couple other people volunteering to do some shirt designs as well. So a lot of community stuff already getting involved and thrown in. More lanyards, more swag. We still have to come up with what more swag we want. I think sunglasses and wristbands were a hot topic. So hopefully we can go from there.
No, that sounds awesome. Sunglasses would be cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I was actually looking at rooms at the Hilton to rent for like conference rooms, and we don't need like a conference room. That'd be way too big. So the convert to raid party upstairs at the Hilton is like an acceptable size. The only reason I was even thinking about rooms in the first place is just because when we had the Hunter meetup last time, I mean, it's chaos on the bottom level of the Hilton, right, at night?
Yep.
It's chaos. So it was hard to be like official Hunter meetup here without kind of getting lost in the sea of nerds. So I thought it might have been cool to get a place to kind of shack up for the event, but at the same time, it's like $300, which is cool because we can obviously raise that money. But at the same time, we could also use that to give giveaways and swag and stuff like that. So I don't really know how we want to appropriate our funds yet, but who?
Well, we
yeah,
have some-
I mean,
some
we have
time to
a
think
lot
about
of time. So
Yeah, although it
It's
will
not
go
like-
by quickly, I'm sure.
I hope it does. I can't wait till November. I mean, even last year, even though it was a little less organized and there were so many people that showed up, I'm hoping this year with the organization we still have the same turnout, hopefully even more, and more people are happier that it's in a more, of a stable place and no one gets confused. We also wanted to do more scheduling and make that more appropriate so people can show up in time for the group photo. They know when all that's going to be, just maybe even some giveaways.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a great idea, and it should be fun. So real quickly, just maybe go. So who all's gonna be there from our crew? We kind of talked about it. I know I'm gonna plan to go because I think it'll be a heck of a good time. It'll be my first BlizzCon, so I think I should do at least one.
Yeah, man, that's exciting. That's really cool. Your first BlizzCon is always
Yeah, I've always done
quite
that.
the experience, and they always keep going up. So you're gonna have your mind blown when you get there.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and like I said, usually, I mean, if things sort of hold sort of true to course, then maybe this will be a more WoW focused one. Certainly with the WoW movie coming up, and of course, maybe an expansion announcement too. This would typically be the BlizzCon where they would do a new expansion announcement. So those two things would certainly alone would make for a great event.
Yeah, I don't think I can make it though. It's too far of a trip. Like what, 30 minutes?
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, well, the traffic around there, right?
Yeah,
I heard it's pretty bad in California.
I'd
Artemis-
say I'm probably 50-50. I'm not. I just have to wait to see how something pans out, and then I'll know.
Well, what does it take to drag you out of the icy depths of Canada? What
International travel.
Yeah, a lot of money apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure your passport's up to date.
Yeah.
I remember when we got together flew to Minnesota to Frostheim's place for episode 100 it was, and yeah, Yuri had some passport issues. but they let him in anyway, and they certainly, I don't think he had any issues leaving the country for sure, but but just make sure all that's up to speed.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be there. I got confirmation yesterday, I guess, that we've got a house rented just kind of across the street from the convention center on the south side, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Party houses are like, well, I don't mean to dub it the party house just yet, but I mean, they always are, right? Like,
The Hunter House.
yeah, I was going to ask though, is that the Hunter house or is that the Delirium and Friends house, or how do you want to?
Yeah, well, so it started, I was a little bit worried about, so I was like, I really wanted to get a house, and some people from my guild were like, well, we don't know if we can make it this year. Everybody had gone last year. The raid leader actually lives in Santa Monica, so people that stayed with him before. And so I was like, I don't know if we can make this happen. Nobody seems excited about it, so I was just asking around everybody. Anybody want to stay at this house? I found this cool place, and so now it seems like we've already filled up to about 12 people who are planning on staying at the house, at least tentatively.
Wow.
So it very quickly from nobody being sure to everybody wanting to come. So it should be a good time, though. I think we'll have some space. The people who live nearby, we're going to bring some air mattresses for anybody who shows up and doesn't have a place to stay. So
Right.
it should be a good time.
And then, so since you guys have done this before, so I assume like for getting tickets, you just want to be online, ready to go, like, immediately.
Yeah. Or, check eBay afterwards, because a lot of people just buy them to sell them.
Which is so messed up, though.
Yeah, that is messed up.
I wouldn't go to eBay if you don't
that
get a
just
ticket.
promotes it.
Yeah, if you don't get a ticket, there's good-hearted people who like down the road in a couple months they realize they can't go, and I think Elvine has a really good website. I think it's called like Looking for BlizzCon.
Okay.
And that's like a website where people resell safely at the exact same price that it was bought at, and just because they can't go anymore for whatever reason happens, unfortunately, and they just resell it at the same price or even less.
Yeah, and that's for anybody interested in lfblizzcon.com.
That sounds like a good resource, actually. But what we did, especially for after like the first round of tickets were done, and like a lot of my guild members already got their ticket. And you guys can do this too if you just have friends or other guildies. Just hop in Mumble, and then for round 2, everybody queues up again. And if someone gets in a shorter queue, but they already have their ticket, and you're needing one, they'll just buy the ticket for you, and then you pay them through PayPal or whatever other.
Oh, that's not a bad idea too.
Yeah, and it's just it's a communal way of doing it, and it all works out, and you have a highly increased chance because you've got 6 people sitting with you. Like someone's going to get in. So that's what I did actually this year. My first BlizzCon ticket, I got it no problem, and same with the second one. But this last year, I missed it twice.
Wow.
I thought I was fast enough, but I know, so it was horrible. My friend got like position number 23 for my first BlizzCon. It was totally crazy.
I was first.
Really?
I don't know
Hey.
how.
Wow. Well, I guess someone has to be, right?
I was like, I got through the Eventbrite stuff. I'm like, there's no queue, and I just filled out my information. I'm like, what's going on? Everyone's like, no.
I hope they don't go through Eventbrite again, though.
They are.
They are.
Yeah.
They've updated some stuff with the waiting room that should make it a little better. So it's not like you're in the waiting room and then you get in to get your tickets and then they tell you they don't have it, so you have to start over. It'll keep the queue a lot better this time. At least that's what they're saying.
But yeah, they are doing, like I said, they are going to do 2 round of sales, one on April the 15th and then another one on April the 18th. So about 3 days later. So if you missed the first one, but that's good to know that there's options that you may not be completely out of luck if the RNG god isn't on your side with the waiting room.
For those of you who've done this, last year was my first, but I found it a lot easier to get in through the queue with only one person, like buying one ticket, and the people who were getting 3 or 4 had a lot more trouble or getting kicked out of the waiting room. Is that a common thing, or?
I noticed that as well from what other guildmates were doing last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always bought singles, but I remember when they weren't going through Eventbrite, what you could do, it was kind of sly, and I don't even know if this still works, but you would just hit 1 and you'd hit enter as fast as you could, and then you'd hit back and then select the right amount you want, and then go back and forward to the next page, and it would still keep you in the queue where you were at, but it updated your amount. And I don't know if that's still a thing or not. And you may not have heard that from me either, so I don't. it was a little weird. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it though. But
yeah, with the new queue system in Eventbrite, I don't think that'll be the case. So kind of moot anyhow.
Well, fingers crossed. Like I said, they go on sale exactly 1 month from today, and then we'll continue to get things organized as well, so we can have some fun hunter stuff planned. We'll have to figure out. I don't know what the event is. Friday and Saturday, so I don't know when you would want to do a hunter thing. I would imagine you'd probably want to do it on Friday, but
Yeah, the goal right now is Friday.
it's hard to say though, man, because like there's so many parties now that happen in those 2-day periods. Like you got your Wowhead party, your Twitch party, your Convert to Raid party, your class party. These meetups, it's insanity. I planned so poorly last year, so I guess that is a good thing. The more time that we have to prepare and the more scheduling that we get, the better it'll probably be. So hopefully nothing overlaps though. Like that was the worst, is just things overlap.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. If there's like, if there's too much stuff going on that you obviously you can't possibly do it all, and sort of I guess you have to pick and choose, and depending on proximity from one to another, maybe you go back and forth from a couple of things. Who knows?
Yeah, that was nice with the CTR party. I think it was last year. They had it, in the right above the lobby of the Hilton, and it made it easy to, see what else was going on. A couple of gatherings, meetups, and see all the parties. So I think, as long as you're at the Hilton, it's pretty good for party hopping.
All right. Well, we'll stay tuned, and we'll certainly keep people updated here with us as the hunter plans and things move forward. But why don't we talk about a little bit of news? And, we actually haven't been able to do that in a couple episodes because of other things going on in this show. So we do have some news and a few changes to talk about. Some of it was just announced yesterday, as a matter of fact. But I think there's a PTR out there right now, and one of the things they're testing is a change to Tranq shot, which they've upped the focus cost to 50, which is just, I don't know, makes me kind of sad.
Actually, that's live right
That's
now.
live, man. Yeah,
Did they make that live? Okay, my apologies. Yeah. Well, shows you how, I haven't tried to use it yet, but I don't know. That was mostly, I think that's another situation, I think, where, it's PvP based here and not really much to do with PvP at all, or PvE at all, I should say.
I think that's a fair statement to make. It really affects the PvPers a lot more than it does the raiders, because Tranq shot is so seldomly used in a raiding environment outside of, say, challenge modes. But even then, and I had this discussion on Facebook too. I didn't get into it because I don't think my point was being well received, but and when you play BM and survival, you really have two, I call them mandatory glyphs, and that's going to be deterrence and spirit bond for the increased heals. And then you kind of have a freebie, okay? You can take the disengage heal, you can take the disengage distance, or if you need to Tranq shot on Beast Lord Darmak, Thogar, the heal on Blast Furnace, you can put the Tranq shot glyph in. It's not like the end of the world. You're going to have to do it just because of how unbelievably expensive Tranq shot is anyway. Put the glyph in. It's a 10-second cooldown, and it's free. Like, it's no big deal. And people were like, I mean, I couldn't even believe the outrage. And it was like, guys, there's an easier alternative here if you just put the glyph in. But I'm talking all about for the raiding scene. That's not entirely the case for PvP. So.
Yeah, there were hunters in my group who didn't even know about the glyph. They're like, what the hell? It costs 50 focus now. And I'm like, just use the glyph. I mean, we were doing Mythic Beast Lord, and it's like, you don't need to use it more than every 10 seconds. So it's not that big of a deal. But without the glyph, it's essentially useless. Like, you can't, that's half your focus pool of your survival. It's stupid.
In challenge modes, I'm not all gold yet, so I don't know all of the fights in WoD yet. But in Mists of Pandaria, there were definitely times where you needed it a lot more than you needed every 3 or 4 seconds at least.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be really rough for challenge modes. I mean, it kind of takes Hunter out of the running to some extent, unless you're playing with a druid
or a shaman. Just purge it.
Yeah, and I'm certainly annoyed with the PvP change. It was it cost a little bit of focus, and it cost a GCD, and it gave you a playstyle option of playing very defensively for a class without a lot of self heals, being able to just spam dispel for a few against a warrior or any class really. It was a great play option. You could sit back and play defensively without self heals, and so taking that away in PvP seems like they're going after the wrong targets, or they're trying to balance it. Beast Mastery is a bit overpowered right now, but I don't know if they chose the right way to do it. So I'm sad to miss that play option.
But the point about the glyph is a good one, and like you say, I mean, we do have the flexibility with that third major slot to actually fit something like this in if needed. I mean, there's nothing. There aren't really 3 mandatory glyphs that you feel you should have, other than the 2 you mentioned earlier. So that does help, and that does take some of the pain away.
People were talking like the disengage glyph was like a life or death situation, and you didn't have it, and I was like, good heavens, no, not even. So.
And if you have multiple hunters in your group, you can easily set up a
rotation. And even then, even if you have multiple hunters in your group, you can have 2 of them run the glyph, and if you and that'll probably solve the problem. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be enough people in your raid that have an effective magic buff removal that this may not even affect you at all. Maybe it does, and you take the glyph. But like I said, it's going to be so seldomly used anyway that it's all good, baby. No need to worry.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess I didn't realize that was live now, but that's good to know.
Taking it off my bars. Dang it.
You're not. You're not even. You're having nothing to do with it. You're like,
I don't want to look at it.
Boycotting it.
Tranq shot
Unless
does not
I'm
exist.
BM and I can get half off Tranq shots, doesn't even matter.
It's dead to you.
Yeah, I mean,
Dead to
honestly,
me.
on Beastloid, like I certainly appreciate if you're in a smaller guild and don't have enough people, the hunter's got to do it. But I'm definitely letting our druids take care of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just not worth thinking about for me.
Just like it's just like interrupts, right? Like I mean, yeah, you can snag
Right.
an interrupt, but there's classes that have way shorter cooldowns on their interrupts. It's like you usually don't have to. Usually, sometimes you do.
It's definitely good to know how, and all hunters should know where the glyph is and
Yep.
how to, have Tranq shot ready when you need it. But there are definitely classes now that are much better at it than we are.
Yeah, and like I say, the same thing with interrupts. I mean, I'm rarely find myself being put into an interrupt rotation. I'm more like, in case the guy looks like if they're going to miss the interrupt, then maybe I'll try and squeeze in a counter shot. But other than that, or if somebody who's in the interrupt rotation should die or something like that, then I might need to step in. But I'm rarely do you see the hunters being primarily put into that position, unless it's a ranged target of some kind that melee isn't going to be on. But also yesterday, Blizzard announced a bunch of itemization changes coming for Blackrock Foundry, which was it was interesting that they came out with it yesterday on a Saturday. They don't necessarily do that, but they're raising the item level by 5 for all the gear that's dropping in Blackrock Foundry, as well as the highest rank of Pexis and the stage 4 crafted gear as well. So all that's going to be 5 levels higher. And, there's been some interesting discussions. I mean, what does everybody sort of think about that? I mean, it's good. I mean, everyone likes getting better gear. I certainly, like getting better gear. No question about that.
I think it kind of makes Heimdall stuff very, very irrelevant, which I understand that kind of was their goal. I feel like they made a mistake not separating the items like this, and that they're doing it not even that far into Blackrock Foundry being out, that it kind of was a hiccup on their behalf. And I also hate that we don't get weapons until like the harder fights, like Maidens and Blast Furnace.
Yeah.
But
that's the glaring problem I see in it for hunters. Is that our weapons come from the way later bosses. So if you're like stuck on progression halfway through the instance, chances are you may not have a souped up Blackrock Foundry weapon. And when casters and rogues are getting their weapons on like the first couple of bosses, like Rule and Orgorger and stuff like that, I mean, you're going to start to sink to the bottom of the meters just because weapon damage, right? I mean, certainly the case in upper echelon guilds, and then to some extent that trickles down to everybody involved. But yeah, that's kind of a bummer in my opinion. I didn't really think the weapon pacing in Blackrock was super duper. Same thing with the trinkets to some extent, like Mythic Chromog, you have to kill to get the Beating Heart, or Gruul's not too bad, but and then Black Hand has one too. It's like, good heavens. Well, Chromog is what, 6? Your 6th Mythic kill? Like, I forget what
your
the
6th or
pacing
5th.
is. Yeah, something like that. So you still have to be kind of like invested to get it. So, but yeah. So I mean, I think that's kind of weird too. But from a design perspective, the whole buff deal, it was a little weird. They have to. I mean, I'm no, what would you say, like professional source on this, but they have to stop making these design changes in the middle of progression. It's not fair to these guilds, especially when like for example, like Blackhand, he's going to die a lot faster now. Like phase 1 tuning adjustments are going to be a lot more lenient now because people have 5 item level boosts. Things are going to be dying quicker. This is going to increase the rate that bosses are being farmed at. I mean, it all kind of has this butterfly effect, right? And it just makes things weird. Like, they shouldn't be doing this when I would say the majority of guilds that put in a fair amount of time invested into their rating haven't finished the tier yet. And by finished, I mean like, what? So heroic is the baseline average difficulty for guilds to be doing their rating content. So after like, say, I don't know, 50 or 60% of the guilds have maybe killed the end tier boss or some metric like that, right? Like when Blizzard really sees in the statistics that most everyone is done, that's when they should be making these tuning changes. I mean, we've seen class changes happen so far this tier, and now we're seeing these itemization changes happen so far this tier. And it just feels weird from a progression standpoint. Buffs are great, and it's certainly going to make things a little bit easier. And it's not like the largest buff either, because remember when we had like the 2 of 4 upgrades, I mean, you could slap those on every single item. You would be farming gear. I think those buffs were a lot larger than, say, this one. But I guess that's my take on it. That was kind of long-winded, but that's how I feel about it. Anybody else? Sorry, I didn't mean to take up the whole...
No, that was good. That was good. I mean, and this isn't the first time we've had a split tier like this, which I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think, Bendak, you mentioned you weren't a fan of the split tier yesterday when we were chatting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just not really a fan of it. But
I mean, you know, they did it in Mists of Pandaria, and I don't seem to recall them having to make this kind of adjustment with Moshugan Vaults and Heart of Fear, so I'm not really sure what
wasn't
changed.
the eye level gap bigger between those
It was.
two?
Yeah.
Like,
Was
quite a
it?
bit.
I can't remember.
It was like 10 or 15 item levels.
But it was 483 to 495 for
Yeah,
normal.
12. That's 12, right? 12, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people
off
are
the top of my head.
A lot of people are speculating too that, you know, Blizzard might be thinking that just not enough people are progressing, you know, like killing Blackhand. Like, if you look at WoW progress, I think only about 2,000 guilds in the entire world have killed Blackhand on Heroic, which seems low to me. Maybe it's not, but I don't know.
It definitely feels low.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
I would have to see, like, we would just have to go back to other tiers, and it's hard to do now because WoW Progress doesn't really necessarily track kills this way. I mean, someone might be able to look at it, but just at a glance, you can't tell how many people killed normal or whatever Garrosh. I mean, you know, Mists of Pandaria's normal version, right? Not like Mythic or whatever. You guys know what I mean. The normal version of Garrosh. It's so weird to talk about the raid sizes like that.
Yeah.
But I wonder how many times Garrosh had been killed by X amount of guilds when a month, or how long have we been in Blackrock now? 2 months? When 2
Month and a
months
half.
of-
Month.
Month and a
Month
half.
and a
Yeah, it
half.
hasn't been 2 months yet. It hasn't really been that long, but
I wonder if it's more or less. That's what I was curious of. Well, and then not only that, but we're talking about Blackhand, the end tier boss. People that have stepped foot into Heroic Kaimal and killed Imperator are 33% of guilds right now. So 1/3 of all raiding guilds have killed the end boss in Heroic Kaimal, and only 4% have killed the end boss in the tier. High or low? What do you think?
I guess I have no way to compare it to, like,
Well, we
To
could do some
Siege, but-
sleuthing. Let's take a look. So if Siege of Orgrimmar came out on, what was it, like, I
it was
think September.
Yeah, September
Yeah.
of 13, I think.
Okay, so we click Heroic Garrosh Hellscream. Or no, that's Mythic. Right, so Siege of Orgrimmar, normal Garrosh Hellscream. And then we go all the way to, what would this be? We're going to have to look in, what's a month and a half after September? That's like October, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, well, you're talking sometime in November.
Oh,
late,
sometime.
late
Yeah.
October, early November.
I might be here a while. I'm scrolling through a lot of pages, but I'm kind of curious to see what the actual number
Yeah, if it came out like,
of
you know,
guilds is going to be.
middle part of
also-
September.
How many
Yeah.
more bosses? 6?
Oh, quite a few. Yeah, I mean, Siege was packed, but also like some bosses were like easy to take on. I really feel like the difficulty in between bosses in Blackrock is probably a little bit harder than the difficulty in between bosses in Siege. But I mean, like, there's clearly some walls with, say, Blast Furnace and Maidens and stuff like that. But I mean, like, Siege only had a couple walls. Like some, like Dark Shaman was kind of a wall for some guilds. Then you had your Siege Crafter, Paragons, then ultimately Garrosh. But like the first early couple of bosses really weren't that bad. But I would expect that though, right? For a 10-man raid instance between a 16-man. I mean, I would sure hope that the pacing is. I mean, if 16 bosses in Siege all got harder after the next boss, it would, like, drastically harder. It'd be crazy. No one would have done as good.
Well, they were talking about this on CTR this morning, and they're basically saying that there's most of the bosses in this tier are mechanic checks instead of gear checks. So it's a little different, you know, like the other previous raids, you know, you get more gear every week. Eventually you're just going to push through it. But some of these bosses, if you can't nail down these mechanics, or the wrong person keeps getting chosen to do some mechanic randomly, and they keep failing. There's a lot of personal responsibility.
Which isn't always a bad thing either. But I think there's a lot more of that this year than we kind of ever seen really before. At least not in Siege, there wasn't at least this much personal responsibility. And it really is gimping some guilds.
Well, I did kind of come to some sort of conclusion here. So 2,400 guilds have killed Blackhand right now at a month and a half in. I went a month and a half into Siege of Orgrimmar, and it's actually 2,600 guilds killed Garrosh at this timeline. So it's almost the same. Siege is just a touch easier. But then again, there's a couple variables. Yeah, then and not only that, but how many guilds were raiding in Siege as compared to, say,
right? We've got a lot more players now.
I mean, yeah, a ton more players, tons and tons of more players. So I don't know if that data is even skewed or not. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think early on, anytime I think Siege was probably pretty popular when it was released, mainly because it was the final tier of that expansion. So I think that sometimes draws people back. It's hard to say, right? Because you have a bunch of attrition as you get towards the middle part of these expansions. People get bored, tired, or whatever. But I think it sort of ramps up again maybe a little bit when you get that final tier. But you're probably right that there are probably more people active right now than there may have been at that point. But I mean, it's interesting what you say. You hadn't really thought about them being more mechanics checks than gear or just flat out DPS checks. But yeah, and that can be a problem for a lot of guilds too. I mean, not for some of the ones that aren't the high end guilds.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and that makes up the core of WoW's rating population anyway.
It does. It really does.
I wonder how much of this is affected by flex rating. It's I think I know. Back in 10-man days, it's so much easier for one person to kind of be a hero and just carry people. And now it's not an option around 20 players or more. And I feel like most guilds, even if you plan on being a 10-man heroic guild, if you want to do any mythic at all, you've got to have 20 people ready, even if you're just doing one or two bosses. So I think more people are aiming for that number. And so that's as much as the encounters themselves is increasing the personal responsibility required. So nobody can just, hero through it. Everybody's got to be able to pull their own weight.
Yeah, and I mean, that's very true. Usually guilds that can kill the end-tier boss can also step foot into, say, maybe 2 mythic encounters past that if they're still, kind of keeping the same pace before the next bit of content comes out. And that's true. The 10-man heroic guilds have to recruit 10 extra people now, and that causes a whole slew of changes, not only to your roster, but making sure people can keep up with the attendance. You're adding an additional 10 players into the mix. Do they mesh well with people? How good are they with mechanics? It's a totally new change for a lot of guilds. And the 10-man guild was the bread and butter for most all of WoW's history. I mean, all of the big boy 25-man progression guilds still existed, of course, but I mean, everybody else was generally speaking a 10-man. I mean, by a huge ratio, right? I mean, for every 25-man guild there was probably 4 or 5 10-mans.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, no, 10-man was definitely the way that people had chosen to go with. I mean, and certainly for the mythic and the harder stuff, I mean, it just seemed like it was easier to get 10 competent players that were able to progress through that content a little faster than you can with 20 and of course with the flexible and with normal and heroic, you're going more than 20 at sometimes depending on how many players you've got in your guild. But in some ways, the bigger size can be easier because you can afford to lose 1 or 2 people, maybe. Whereas in 10-man, if you lose, one person, depending on the encounter, that's could very well mean a wipe, You can't necessarily overcome that.
I kind of felt like the opposite was true because, when I was doing 10-man raiding, it was a lot more common for, especially hunters, to be the last person alive and still finish the pull. Because, you weren't. But if you're the last out of 25 or 30 people, you don't have much of a chance unless he's at, just a few 100,000 damage. But with 10-man, you weren't overcoming quite as much.
No, but with a say a 20 or 25, you could possibly lose somebody.
Right, one or two.
You could use it. You could lose a couple people and carry on and feel confident that you're probably going to push through it. Whereas you lose that one person in 10, or if you certainly lose two people in 10, you could be on some thin ice there.
Yeah, like on Thogar, you can expect 3 or 4 people to always die to the trains, and you can still finish the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, trains.
I like that fight. That's a fun fight.
Yeah, I love that
It
fight.
is, yeah.
It was a lot of fun on Mythic too. It was a lot more fun than Heroic. Still really cool though.
Reminds me of oh god, what's his name? Hagen. Does it not? When was the last time you had to move around the entire room because of an imminent death? Right? Hagen. The guy in X, he shot up the
the safety dance. Yeah, no, that was a great boss too. That was one where and there was no enraged timer on that. I remember we had one attempt on him, and we wiped, but we must have been in there for more. It was more than 20 minutes because a lot of people had died from the dance, but we had a few of us that could that kind of mastered it, knew how to do it, and so we just kept going as long as we could. But we had 2 people left, and we just kept going back and forth, and ended up wiping anyway. But we were there for 20 minutes. It was crazy.
All I remember from that fight is the tank not moving fast enough and my pet dying.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Every single time.
Does everyone have their frost resist gear for Syndragos, or what's it got? Saffron. Jeez. Syndragos.
But with the train titan, the Thorgard, you can't go forever. I think early on when we were trying it, we actually got to the end, and at the end, you eventually get all 4 trains coming at once. And
Oh my gosh.
that's the white mechanic for that.
You can just deter through it. Come on.
Yeah, have everyone bubble.
Yeah, deterrence. I love that ability. God, if they ever take that away, I'll just cry.
Yeah, that would be a sad day, man. I don't know.
Someone tried gripping me into an oncoming train, and I just hit deterrence as soon as I saw it. He never did it again.
Well done. Nice.
Yeah, I like it there. I haven't had to use it much on that fight, but Orgorger, certainly it's gotten me out of a few jams.
Oh
on
yeah,
that particular
definitely.
Fight.
yeah.
Oh my goodness,
I don't
yes.
even think about where I'm standing because I can just deter.
Although apparently, I guess you guys have probably figured this out too. You can be strategic about the crates and force him to kind of dictate the direction that he'll go.
Oh yeah. That's fun.
I don't know how other guilds do it, but we definitely split up our ranged and melee. So if one of the groups kills it a little too fast, though, it kind of messes everything up as far as dictating the direction.
No, we keep.
That's what happened. No, sorry.
No, I said we've been keeping everyone together. We tried this last week and it worked pretty well. Whereas we just kind of move as a group and we target one crate in the beginning, and then there's a specific ones that we'll attempt to hit that will kind of keep his flow going. There's maybe 1 or 2 points where you kind of have to say, all right, which way is he going, and hope he chooses the direction you want. But for the most part, it seems to work pretty effectively.
I feel like when we do the all hunter version, we can just kill him during that phase. I think that's going to be the way to go. Let your health drop down as low as it can get and use all your health potions, but just kill him off in that phase.
Blackrock's going to be interesting with all hunters. I'm thinking about that briefly.
Yeah, Gruul's going to be super weird for the tank. I don't know how that's going to work.
Let's have our pet sacrifice.
And then we all know how hard pet positioning is. So having him swing through to group is ugh. When are we going to do that? Is there a team hunter thing even planned? I know it's been swung around, but yeah, we should totally do that sometime. But have we even considered?
I don't know. Are you going to go Alliance?
I want to do
I am going to go
Heimal.
Alliance. I should be Alliance soon.
You better go Alliance.
A couple weeks.
Oh, everything's changed.
I know.
How weird is that? Yeah. Heimal, is that what you said?
Yeah, I want to start planning Heimal stuff out. I'm waiting on Shoot to get his stuff to 100 first, because he's going to make an Alliance Hunter now. He might even transfer Alliance, because rest in peace, Guild.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, so if he's got more than one hunter, which, you should have more than one hunter, you would think you could just, transfer one.
I think he does. Well, I know he has 2 horde hunters, but
Does
I
he?
don't know which one. Yeah, he wants to put where. But yeah, I was actually with Shoot and Vittoria, who's another hunter soloer, and then myself. We were actually trying to 3-man bracket spore. It was going pretty well. The only thing that was actually a pain was the tank breath debuff was really sporadic. We couldn't control who was going on, and it wouldn't go on our pets. So that was what was killing us. But outside of that, completely doable. So I feel like if you threw 30 hunters in that, easy peasy, totally. Yeah, but we tried Kargath too. I think that's just a war of attrition. I don't think we actually just had the health pools to survive that. But yeah, totally. I think Heimdall is absolutely doable if we can get 30 capable geared hunters in there, 100%.
Should we do normal or heroic? That's a real question.
Normal, totally normal. Yeah, I don't think heroic is ready for that. I think a lot of people underestimate.
I don't think heroic's ready for us.
Okay, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we could get a couple kills on heroic, maybe like 1 or 2, but I don't know. It's just a lot of damage, right? Without a healer, even with spirit beasts and animal bond, it's just a lot of damage.
Yeah, I don't know which of those fights would be. Trying to think which would work. I mean, obviously with the hunters, you've got all that damage going out, so the fights are short, but are they? It's a question of can you make them short enough to mitigate all the damage going out? But yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to do it. And if you have to wait another tier till the next tier comes out to do it, you can do that too. But
that's a good thing to do when we're waiting for the next expansion.
How long do you think we're going to wait?
Oh, I honestly have no idea. I mean, they're going to
hopefully
announce
longer than MOP.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think. No, go ahead.
If they're going to announce it in November, I'm not sure if they're going to say the release date too, or like they say they want to bring them out quicker, but they've been saying that for like the last 3. So I don't know. Like if you're optimistic, you might say like next spring, but
I think that would be a lovely thing to shoot for.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows what's going to happen? So here's my opinion. Spoilers omitted, I guess. I don't know. I mean, everyone is on their legendary ring crest, right? I won't say too much, but so we are fighting the Iron Horde right now. We are, of course, going to defeat the Iron Horde threat. We know Gul'dan is out there and very evil. He's going to herald in the Burning Legion. Duh, right? Like, so I think once we either kill or recruit Mr. Gromash Hellscream, we'll tackle Sargeras and his cronies, and then I think that'll be a tier, and then I think the Burning Legion is going to be the next expansion. So I still think they might do 2 tiers. I could be totally wrong and off the mark here.
I think they're going to do 2 tiers as well.
Oh yeah, I think they have to do another tier.
Well, yeah, but I think it's going to be Gul'dan and fellow. No, I guess I misspoke, because that would mean another tier, wouldn't it? Because what's the next place called? The Iron Citadel? Where does Gromash live? In Tannin Jungle?
Where does he live?
Where does he live? What's the place called?
What's his house? I don't know. It's going to be Tannin Jungle. They're going to have questline there, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe they will add it. How are they going to do that then?
Right?
All I know is that they already said that the next expansion's going to be just Warlords Part 2, basically.
Really? Well, so that's why I think it has to do with the Burning Legion. But where does Gul'dan come in and all this? So we have to fight him this expansion.
I think I think Gul'dan is this expansion. In fact, if you even look at the some of those statues you can get for your garrison, I think there's one with Khadgar.
Yeah, Gul'dan and Khadgar. That's
Gul'dan and Khadgar. It just seems to me that's where this is going. This is going that Gul'dan will be sort of like the big baddie end boss of this expansion.
That's the statue you get when you finish the legendary.
Yeah, exactly. So that leads me to believe that's where they're going with this. That Gul'dan will be the final boss.
Wasn't Gromash supposed to be the last boss? They said he was going to be the last boss of the expansion.
How weird would that be, though, if we finish the legendary quest line and they still leave Gul'dan out there, and then we have to deal with him in the next expansion? That seems weird to me, that we have to wait for all new content, level up, the whole new, brand new expansion experience to just begin the story where we left off in the last expansion. That seems super weird.
Another orc.
And another orc to begin with. Yeah. Kind of done with the...
But Solar, there's no more troll dungeons.
I'm calling. I told you, Garrison. The next patch is going to be the Garrison troll dungeon.
Trolls, all trolls.
It's going to be a troll invade. It's going to be a troll invasion raid. That's what it's going to be. Get ready for it.
But I don't know if they'll be able to. Who knows if they'll get the next expansion out earlier or not. I mean, a lot depends on. I think the holdup from getting us the next expansion is all the content that they choose to put in there, and how hard is it to design, and how long does it take for them to get that polished and ready.
Telephone.
I think your phone's ringing.
I think that was Gul'dan calling.
He's like, hey.
Yeah, hey.
That's right. The burning Legion has burning ears, I take it, yes. But what was I saying? So, yeah, I guess it all depends on what they decide to do there, especially, and I'll be curious to see what they do with garrisons. I mean, we talked about that a couple episodes back where we were sort of filling a little time, and whether or not they'll continue on with garrisons as a permanent feature to the game, or if they'll just leave it at Warlords and revert back to what they had.
Continue with it.
Yeah, I do too.
With it.
Yeah, me too. I'm
making so much gold through garrisons, it's not even funny. Like I had no idea once I got enough treasure mission specialists, I would just be raking in cash. Oh, I love it. And the garrison's cool, I guess, but gold.
Like I wouldn't mind some changes to it. Like I still think it would be cool if it was like account wide or at least faction wide, because it can get a little tedious. But I don't know. I still hope they reuse all that work they put in.
Yeah. I won't do it on another character, man. I copped out. I said I won't. I can't. I have no desire. I was going to do it on my warrior, and I got to like a level 2 garrison, and I started like doing the buildings, and I just went nope, not even. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to put in the time to level up another garrison or two, there is definitely some payoffs for that. I mean, I've been able to completely, provide myself with everything I've needed, don't have to flask potions and very easily do that, and have the mats available to do those things. I mean, I just like having being able to disenchant gear on a tune that doesn't have enchanting. That alone I'll be really sad to see that go if they get rid of that.
Have any of you been using the mage tower?
I have not put one of those up yet.
Yes.
Like I recently switched one of my large buildings to that, and like it's awesome. I don't know. They give you these little things you can move around your garrison, and like these little teleporter things. You can put them anywhere, and you kind of launch yourself between the 2 points. And you get the work orders give you Apexis crystals, which is basically your seals for the week.
Yeah.
But they also have a chance to give you this item that instantly completes any mission. So you get your Blackrock Foundry mission, complete it right away.
Oh, cool.
Then you get your portals to outside the raids. I don't know. It's just like
it is.
I didn't need the bunker anymore because it just kept giving me like armor sets, which I was just vendoring at this point.
Oh, you tossed your bunker?
I tossed my bunker as well.
I would have thrown away the
exact
barracks.
Thing he's doing.
I need the extra 5 followers.
Yeah, see, I need.
I'm sorry, not the bunker. I threw away the barracks.
Yeah, what do you need well, in my opinion, I already have the 6 or 7 followers that I use for all my important missions, so anyone else I could honestly care less about. So I tossed the bunker, and I got to keep my scraps to upgrade my followers still through the, what do you guys call it? What's the Alliance version of the building?
Oh, the Dwarven bunker?
Yeah, the Dwarven bunker. So I kept
bunker.
that, and I threw away the extra 5 follower building to get the Spirit Lodge. I get to chill out with ogres in my garrison.
Nice.
Well, the reason I got rid of it was because I had a stockpile of all the upgrades. Like I don't need anything.
Even weapons? Oh man, I'm hurting for weapons so bad.
But you will next tier, right?
Well, I can always switch back, but for now it's fun just to have the portals and all that stuff and instantly complete missions. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a really cool building. I swapped as
can't
soon
give
as
up
they
stables.
changed everything.
What's that about stables?
I can't give them up. I don't ever want to be dismounted. I want to just run through large packs of mods and not care.
You know what?
Too
There
great.
might come a point where I get rid of my barracks for the stables too, just for the convenience. Like, because like you said, like you only need like your 8 team followers, they can handle most of it. The bodyguard's nice just to have a mission table out in the world.
They need those in raids, man. I need a portable mission table.
A mission table
I
in raids?
don't.
Yeah, I know.
I can't even tell you how many times I've like covert ops Hearth to my Garrison during like break trash to try and get some stuff done and then head back to the raid. Oh my gosh, so many times.
Oh yeah, I got my first Mythic cache, and it was awesome. I got Mythic Warforged Best in Slot belt.
Cool.
Nice. Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got the cloak this week, actually. Mythic Warforged cloak.
Nice.
Something kind of funny. My first Mythic Highmall cache was a dupe of an item that I already had. So I was very bummed out.
whoops.
Yeah.
And then my first Mythic Blackrock cache was a dupe of an item I already had. But I'm still getting upgrades out of Highmall. My Mythic Highmall cache, it's still clocking in upgrades for me there because they keep coming out Warforged or like with the socket. It's like, yeah. But the duplicates hurt so bad. I can't. It's
You want to know
like,
something that annoys me? This hunter in my guild got Warforged socketed trinket off of Blackhand.
Oh yeah! Wow, nice.
I'm like, we're not gonna kill that anytime soon. I hate you.
Our shamans,
Not
our
really,
shamans
but we're
got
still
it.
really lucky.
That's ridiculous. After the upgrades to that, it's going to have like 500 passive agility or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've got the heroic version
It's
of
going
it,
to be like an 8%.
but nothing Warforged.
I was going to be 700 item level with these changes, but I forgot my weapons Highmall, so rip.
Yeah.
Isn't that the worst now? It's not going up an item level. Everyone else's weapons are going to go up an item level. It's like, I have a mythic bow from Brackenspore. It's like, well, good game. It's, I mean, it's...
And now that's the
tried.
same as a heroic
Thanks.
bow
yeah,
from BRF.
Exactly.
A heroic Warforged bow, yeah. Oh, well, at least mine's going to be. It's still a little annoying, though.
Yeah, I still got the crafted gun for the moment, so at least that'll go up.
That goes up 5
levels.
right?
That'll go up 5, yeah, to 675. So that'll help a little bit. So has everybody got their tier yet, or is you guys still working on that?
I'm still sitting at 2 pieces, and both are heroic.
Want to do it better
I
than
almost
me,
have
man.
mythic tier.
Yeah, go ahead.
I need gloves.
I have 2 heroic pieces and 2 normal pieces, but
Oh,
it's
nice.
definitely worth it to use the
You're
normals.
playing all BM now?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So my 2-piece tier consists of a heroic helm and a normal chest. It's probably, don't get me started. There's a heroic run in my guild tonight. I'm hoping I can sneak some pieces in because most of the people in there don't need gear. They're just doing it for runes. So
Yeah, we did normal first, and so we kind of spent some time in there. So I managed to get the 4 pieces out of that between drops and a couple bonus rolls as well. So yeah, it's nice. I mean, I hate the fact that I can't replace it. I've got higher item level pieces like a chest and a helmet, but I can't really use them because of the 4-piece bonus, and it's sort of, I don't know, kind of sad. Just shows you how good that 4-piece bonus is. Certainly for Beast Mastery.
Yeah, I think for all specs, pretty much. I mean, you'd have to have like, I don't even know what you'd have to have. Like, I don't even know if Mythic would be worth breaking the bonus for. Probably not.
Hard, yeah. You see that was when I always went to Simcraft and Zahara's, right? So you might want to bring up Esoth's Hunter Tools for that, because that's always like, well, if I get this tier piece, but it means I lose a piece, but it's mythic, things like that. That's always
and that's the thing.
Go
too,
to the charts.
And if you're going to give up 1 piece, then you have room to give up 2, obviously, until you get the 2 better pieces, probably. Because at that point, having 3 pieces is here, you're just talking stats at that point. So yeah, if you're going to break the 4, then yeah, you probably need to look at replacing two of the pieces at that point, and seeing if that bumps you up or not. But what else? What else you guys want to talk about? We're rambling all over the place because there's not much news.
There's an interesting thing here that says Hunter Topics. That seems.
Yep.
Is that something we should talk about? I mean,
we should. We can talk about. Oh, why don't we talk about this a little bit too? I mean, I guess so. Has everyone? Well, let's ask this question. Everybody here kind of jumped on the BM bandwagon, if you will, or are we? I know Bendak, you're running BM pretty much. I'm running BM pretty much exclusively because I like it a lot. But who else is? Are you all doing BM or back and forth or what? Artemis, what are you running?
I've played all 3 specs in progression so far. I'd rather not talk about it. I've sunk so much gold in enchants and gemming.
I know. I can't believe you did that. I mean, I would in your position too, but it was just I was like, I'm a casual now, man. I was just looking at you like, ugh, spinning gold.
Ew, gross.
I mean, it's one thing to play 2 specs, but when you're bouncing through all 3, you're going crazy there. I can imagine because you're really, as you say, regemming, re-enchanting. You're paying money to respec as well. Yeah, that does sound kind of miserable. But so are you still doing that, or have you settled on 2 now for where you're at with progression?
I was settled on 2, but then I realized I have to play marksman now for maidens. Because I'm going to be on the boat a lot, and we need just a single target, sit there and do damage spec.
Wait, you need the what? BM wouldn't be more suited.
No, I'm literally just sitting there turreting. It's easier to line up. Oh, actually, it's more easier to line up cooldowns with BM, but it's honestly a lot more damage just sitting there with marksman.
Would you save Stampede for it? How many times are you going up there?
I don't save Stampede. I'm going to use Crows. Go up there 3 times.
Because of how many times you're going up there? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
If I was not on the boat if I was only on 1 boat, I would still go BM, but since I'm on all 3, I'm going marksman.
Is it working out? That makes me, I'm not doubting your decision. I'm just kind of curious as to with the I'm mostly just following, like, Kenny Loggins' footsteps, really. Kenny go Marks? Yeah. Heck it. Sure.
I even went Marks for Beast Lord just so we can get single target damage, and it's early progression.
See, that's what people don't understand. That's a good point to bring up. Is just because the spec is like pounding numbers out, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like the most preferable. Like if people are doing like BM and they're cleaving, like ads on Darmak like melt. I mean, it's disgusting how fast ads melt on Darmak because people want to pad. Granted it's farm, but also when you take a progression mindset, Artemis brought up an incredible point. The single target damage is what matters. I mean, ads are going to passively die through natural cleave or maybe 1 AoE every now and then. Like we had to beat that point in so hard into our raiders on Garrosh for pushing phase 1 as fast as we could because people were just so concentrated on padding on the ads that. You actually looked at the single target damage breakdown, and that's where it showed who was actually doing what they were supposed to do. So, good point.
Yeah, operators kind of like that too, where you have some very specific targets that you need to focus fire down in the midst of all those ads that are out and about running around.
I still went BAM for that, and I destroyed cannons, I destroyed boat, and destroyed boss damage, but my cleave was just ass because I wasn't really doing a good job keeping up beast cleave while doing that, but oh well, got the job done.
It's a good point for blink strikes. Like a lot of the time blink strikes, like you might do higher overall DPS, but a lot of it's just padding. You're usually better served using Crows or Stampede for priority targets. Like I don't find myself using blink strikes that much at all, unless like maybe it's like a farm boss and you just want to do high numbers for fun, but beyond that I find it's better just to stick with talents that focus on single target.
Well, let me interrupt real quick. If I'm not mistaken,
if you look on the stream, Artemis has got RogerBrown's portrait.
Hello.
I know. I think RogerBrown is here.
Oh, Roger's here. That's what changed things. What up, Roger?
Hello. Yeah, sorry. I'm just waiting for the discussion to pause for a sec before
I realized that. Yeah.
Got in. But it seems like I joined at a great time where we're saying that BM sucks, survival is the best.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Had to call in backup support.
But in all seriousness, I think the one thing that I've really thought about this tier is, and I don't know if you mentioned it already, but I think it's nice when you take, for example, the ads on Beastlord that you said, or the ads on Thogar, or even the ads on the hands of Chromog. And lastly, which is the most important, at least for us, was the Demolisher damage on Blackhand.
Mhm.
Even though that's not AoE, but still the same logic applies, where I'm thinking you should try at least to do as the most effective thing that you can do. So, for example, what I mean is, instead of on the Demolisher having one guy, like an Arcane Mage, just nuke it down from 100% to 0 and no one else touches it, it's better if, for example, you're a hunter, survival of course, and you throw an Arcane Shot, and then you have a full Serpent Sting taking it down, and then you continue focusing on the boss, or maybe you throw a Black Arrow, because that's like maximizing your damage there without while still focusing on the boss. So if everyone does that, then it's all going to be good. Same with AoE. If everyone just uses their effective AoE, so if I'm a survival hunter, instead of spamming multi-shots all the time on the hands of Chromog, the best thing is probably to do a barrage, maybe throw one multi-shot on the right, one multi-shot on the left, let those Serpent Stings stick, and then you leave the Moonkins to clean it up, and you focus on the boss. So that's just my thoughts.
And it's true. I really believe that a lot of people don't understand that, and they just see what the SCADA report says, and that's what they base all of their judgments off of. You know, they don't realize how important effective damage and where it needs to go and how important that is.
Exactly. I'm like the reason why I'm saying this is because you could easily say, oh, we have too much damage on the hands of Chromog. Just let only the Moonkins AoE, everyone else single target. But that's not as effective, right? Like, it's good always to maximize your effectiveness of your class, and yeah, that's what I do at least on most bosses, or I try to.
So what's new, man? You guys bored with Foundry already, or how you? What's going on in you guys right now?
We're bored to wipe on Hands on France. That's for sure. That fight, man. Oh, I mean, I like it personally, but it's just so painful wiping. I wouldn't say. At least I'm not bored. I think some people are already, which is sad. But I find it still quite fun. Still, looking forward to playing it with like the second raid, so you can kind of progress again through the dungeon now that you know everything. I mean, the 5 eye level boost is going to help a lot that they mentioned. I guess you covered that already, though.
Well, we talked about the gear boost. We haven't really talked about necessarily the impact on the bosses themselves, and they said the goal was just to make the gear feel more rewarding and not to nerf the content so much, but there's no way that it doesn't nerf the content when you make the gear more powerful.
Yeah, I think it's at least half and half of their intention. Like, they want to nerf it a little bit because they probably see how people are struggling too much and it's not fun. Yeah, which is, I like it, to be honest. So, no complaints there.
Okay, so we were talking about this, and this, I mean, who better to ask than you? Do you think they need to stop making these kinds of changes mid-progression? I mean, while granted a lot of guilds are done with Blackhand, I mean, there are still a ton that aren't done with Blackhand. And now that they just had this big change through their progression, I mean, how weird is that to happen?
I think the best way to handle this, because I think that, yeah, at some point you want to nerf the content, yeah? Let more people experience it. Instead of, like, I don't really like when they say, okay, when the new tier is out, you just nerf like 30% damage, health, everything of the previous tier. I think the best idea, I think I saw it somewhere, would be that they have it organized, kind of like Lich King, where you say, okay, next week I'm going to have 5% more damage and stuff. Yeah, that everyone knows that, and it's not like, oh, surprise, you get 5 extra level. Whoop-de-doo. Like, if it's always consistent, say, after a month, you get some kind of benefit, and after 2 months you get a little bit more or something like that. So everyone knows, and it's not like we're almost ready for a kill, but now we can't really say that we killed it before the nerf. Like,
so,
you know
so
about
kind
it.
of like progressive ICC and Dragon Soul 5%.
Yeah, I think that's the best, to be honest, because you can't. Yeah.
Or do
You
you
know
want it to
about
happen
it.
through gear? Like, do you want the fights to kind of remain at the same integrity?
Yeah, I mean, Siege of
such as-
Orgrimmar, in Mist, they let you upgrade your gear, 4 or 8 levels as a way of nerfing the content. So I don't know which one's better.
Terrible.
No, you didn't like that at all? No?
No, I'm glad they didn't do that. Yeah. I think I like it more the way, like, not with the eye level boost actually, because that changes a lot of things. Yeah, like you have in your head, okay, this is my best slot set, and then they just buffed everything, so now maybe for some people a trinket that was really good from Heimel now feels kind of shitty, and I don't like that changing your gear strategy. But yeah, I think the best is either buff the players 5% or nerf the bosses by 5%, for example, something like that.
Yeah, we were talking about the weapons earlier too. Like if you had the high mall weapons now are going to be feel a little bit less effective than what they were.
It was ridiculous because like all of the weapons in Blackrock come like later on, right? Blast Furnace, Maidens. So like unless you're like busting out these heroics or even mythic encounters, like you're stuck with the high maul gun. And in my experience, at least in my raid team, I don't have a mythic Blackrock weapon, but all the druids and all the rogues are getting their stabs and daggers from like Orgborger and Hans and Franz and stuff like that. So like Hunters kind of got the short end of the stick on that one. I thought the weapon progression for us was like really bad in Blackrock.
It was really bad this year. Like you said earlier, everybody else gets to seem to get their weapon before like we can even see one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also think a good idea would be that they let you progress your gear through upgrading it to Warforged, or put some random stat on it, or I don't know, something. That would be also pretty cool.
But did you not like the upgrade system? But how would you do that then? Like, what would be the way to upgrade the gear but not have it be like tedious with valor?
Maybe something like, okay, you can spend, I don't know, 5 coins or something, like maybe more, I don't know. Like spend 5 coins and upgrade an item to Warforged. So you kind of lose the chance to get it some extra gear, but generally speaking, when you are at max gear and you want to just upgrade your stuff to Warforged, there's nothing else you worry about. It feels better to just say, okay, I'm just going to save them and use them to upgrade this, which is certain that it's going to work, instead of just keep coining the boss and keep getting like, I don't know, a ring or something. Yeah. I think the coins could be used for something like that.
Yeah,
Or
someone was saying Apexis crystals might be another form of currency that could be used for something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they hit the mark with the Apexis crystal. Feels kind of like, like, okay, you need it at the start, and it was really, really annoying for me when I had my 6th character and I had 0 crystals, and I'm like, do I really need to do daily just for the legendary ring? But at least they put some missions, so I was like double dipping on them. Which you can buy with resources. It's pretty cool. I don't know if people know that. If you get either a Harrison Jones quest, I think, or like a Garrison Garrison campaign, or just a daily Apexis, and then you also buy the same mission from the guy outside your main hall, then it double dips. You do them at the same time. It's pretty good.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool. It didn't used to when you got the Garrison campaign and the daily at the same time. You didn't double dip. You had to do it twice.
I think it's just
cool.
with these missions, but it helped me a lot. Also, have you mentioned that, man, why doesn't Blackrock Foundry drop the, I don't even know how to spell it, to pronounce it.
Alligator stones.
Alligator
stones.
Alligators.
Alligator stone.
The alligator stones. Jesus, I have to go and do LFR Heimel like 6 times. Oh, the pain.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's not like they've never done that before, right? I mean, at the end of Mist, they kind of set it up so you could get anything you needed out of the current raid tier. So I don't know why they didn't want to continue that this time around.
Yeah.
Especially now when they're trying to make, take away the incentive for you to go back and run high mall right now. At least they will next week.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I think it's really hitting me hard how bad it feels when, like, I have 5 characters and then I made the 6th one, all right? But the 5 ones I leveled from day 1, and they're all at a pretty good point. But then my last character, the followers suck, legendary quest line is so behind. Just feels really awkward. I don't know. I wish there were some better catch-up mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, at least they doubled the drop rate, right, for your alts and stuff like that. Like, that's kind of nice if you're progressing your legendary quest line. Did you see that where your alts could?
Oh yeah.
That one's
the
okay.
Same for the high mold ones, right? Like you
Yeah.
get extra one. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not nearly as effective though as getting him dropping out of Blackrock though. Please.
Oh, what happened to your mic?
Me? I don't know. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. It just sounds a
like
little
you're on
off.
a phone.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know why.
Oh, hey, there
you go.
There you
It's
go.
back. Yeah.
Put it towards my face more.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just fix it in post progression.
But so have you done anything other than survival this tier, Roger, or is it that you haven't even thought about doing anything but survival?
Well, I obviously thought about playing BM when they were like, "Oh my God, BM seems higher. Everyone go BM." But what happened was I didn't really have time to even consider switching and getting a bit used to it again before the raid on Wednesday. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just go to survival. I mean, survival got a boost, right? You can use Stampede, which I was using anyways for Black Hunt. That's a DPS increase. Also, Baraz, Gleiftos, all that stuff got buffed. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, if it was good the previous week, it's even better now, right? Mm-hmm. So I stuck to it. The other 2 hunters in my guild, they went BM. Like, oh, let's go. And they jammed everything and enchanted everything. And we go there, and in phase 1, I did more DPS than them. And they're like, after 2 tries, all right, never mind. Switching back to survival. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to try it at some point. What really sucks is that when you have, again, what I said, like you have your gear, you have your mindset, what gear you want. And then suddenly another spec is better, and you have to rethink everything and rejam, re-enchant. It's like really a lot of money. I don't know. I mean, if it was a big difference, but as far as I can tell, it's not really. Unless you're cleaving, right? But yeah, I don't know. I'm in love with survival. I mean, everyone knows that. And I'll probably let the other hunters try it first again. See how they do. If I feel really bad about my DPS, then I'll consider it again. Yeah. I'm wondering actually how marksmanship is doing now.
Well, Artemis said she was using it for Iron Maidens when she goes on the boat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's really good there.
See, I'm not crazy. It's decent for the boat.
Yeah, I mean, it's good there. The problem with it is that overall DPS, probably survival or PM is better. And the tactic that we use, at least, we only do 2 boats. So we push it before the 3rd, and the earlier you push it, the better it is, generally speaking. So, yeah, I mean, just sticking to survival there.
I think it's safe to do 2 boats in my group. I know we have a lot of gear at this point, but I think for safety, we're going to try with 3, depending on how we do.
Yeah. What did I want to say? Actually, one thing that I really haven't really theory crafted at all with these new buffs that the talents got, but I was really like, damn, that's a huge buff to what's the name? Not focusing shot, the other one.
Focus fire?
Munitions?
No. The big knockback shot.
Oh,
Power shot.
Oh, right. Like, it was 60% buffed. Isn't that, like, insane? Like, I don't know. Single target MM, at least, should be the best. Or, I don't know.
I think some people are practicing with it. I don't know how good it is, though. It's a good point.
Yeah, once every 45 seconds, it just doesn't make a huge difference which one you're using there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And most bosses you probably want to go for Baraz, but
Yeah, if you have any AoE at all.
Yeah, there's probably a few you
Roll
can get away
boy.
with Power Shot, maybe. And the nice thing about Power Shot is that it doesn't have to do with weapon damage. So like even if you kind of have a crap weapon, it might be okay to use. It's just attack.
Bad thing is that you need to stand still, right? That's always a negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I wanted to say something else, but I forgot.
Well, did it have to do with a talent or a buff? That was what we were talking about, talents and buffs.
Oh, right. No, it was about a nerf.
Oh.
What the? What is that 50 focus? Oh, we were just talking about that. Oh, what the?
Okay, so here's what I was saying.
I thought my rate was joking, yeah? We were doing heroic, and they're like, oh, it cost me 50 focus. I'm like, what?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you joking?
Right.
Like, it's not. It's like, no, it is. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm... Wait, the glyph still makes it 0 mana, 0 focus, right?
Right, on a 10-second cooldown. So here's the
I'm
thing.
not-
There's like 2 mandatory glyphs for BM and Survival, right? Deterrence and Animal Bond, so you can heal. After that, you can use the disengage heal, the extra disengage jump distance, or you can opt to put in for Tranq Shot. So like for the fights you need it, like Beast Lord, Blast Hand or Blast Furnace, and Thogar, you can just put it in, and it's no biggie. And like I'm sure in your raid, you can just pawn it off to have the druids do it or the shamans, right? Like,
Oh, yeah, of course.
for
definitely.
sure, yeah. So,
Sucker
but yeah, it
moves.
is kind of crazy. Yeah, exactly.
It makes it unusable. I mean, that's an insane nerf. I think that's basically, hey, PvPers, get this glyph. Boom. Like,
Yeah.
or I don't know, do they really cast more than twice per
Oh, yeah,
10
definitely.
seconds? With 50 focus now?
Oh, no, you can't now, but...
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, this is out of hand. Let's completely nerf it and make the...
It is
Leaf
ridiculous
on
though.
the
It's like a beyond usable if you don't have the glyph. Like 50 focus, like forget any sort of like cool GCD management. Like you're going to be delaying everything if you have to use it. So yeah.
I think it would have been smarter if they just put a cooldown to it. Like, I don't know, 5 seconds cooldown or something. Or, I don't know.
Yeah, or if the glyphed version was acceptable, then just remove the glyph and make that be the how the ability works too. That would have been another route they could have gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's
But, yeah.
on the official forums. That's pretty much every thread right now is
Oh my
complaining about
gosh,
Tranq
it was
Shot.
an outrage. It was. I haven't seen hunters get that riled up in a long time. Like maybe when our damage was so bad in the beta, but I've never seen anger like I saw in the Tranq Shot. It was absurd.
More than the removal of distracting shot?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe that
Yeah,
was pretty bad too. But
I think this is a lot worse.
Yeah,
A distracting shot, there were a few people who were very loud and vocal about it. I was probably one of them, but
I was one of them too. I like distracting shots.
I like
especially-
distracting shot too.
Just
Yeah,
giving me,
of course.
To taunt one of the Garrosh ads that were like too close to the tank, so they wouldn't blow up on each other. That was big
nice.
money.
Yep. Just give some flavor to the class, some
It
uniqueness.
you know, Celestalon said it was my poem about distracting shot that convinced them to bring it back.
Well, I remember him saying, hey, I mean, we removed it, but we buffed Growl, so you can do your pet taunt things. What? No.
It's like,
No.
what? That's not the point.
No.
It's like when they make statements like that, I go, do you play a hunter a little bit more than an hour a day?
Well,
work?
I think we all know the answer to that.
Yeah. We saw what happened when he did play a
but-
hunter.
Oh god, when he played
And then this
marksman,
time went to play.
Yeah.
we all got Twitter people to just go, hey, make him play marksman. Everybody like rallied,
Good times, good times.
And there you go.
and then
was
they
like
buffed Barrage.
the top spec going into the expansion after that.
Oh, have you discussed a bit that I think this is the first time ever that within a tier, well, I guess you can call it one tier, we've went for marksmanship, survival, and now BM, like all 3 specs.
Yep.
Do you like that? I kind of like it. Because when was the last time you got to do that?
good.
I mean, it makes it expensive to change things, and you have to relearn. But like, when was the last time all 3 specs were competitive like that, so closely together?
Well, I would have preferred if two specs were really good and you swapped between them depending on the fight, and that was consistent throughout the whole thing, instead of like, okay, I've learned MM, it's going great, and then survival buff, everyone switches to survival, no one plays MM ever again, and I don't really like that hard switch.
Yeah,
And
I'm fine with.
If it's two specs, it's fine because you can even have a dual spec. But then they put like now you play BM. You have to, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't care which one of them's on top. I'm glad that they're all very close, but it needs to stop changing mid-tier. Like having to switch in the middle of a fight as to which one is best. Hot fixes changing the entire structures.
Yeah, that's not something we've really seen before. We've seen them change going from one tier to the next, but rarely do I recall seeing it like this, where each one has sort of had a different position, while the tier was in full swing, in full progress. I mean, the last time I remember something like that maybe was Naxxramas, Wrath of the Lich King, when BM was just destroyed.
With the one-button macro, the monster macro.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, that was when we had the big tier trees, and I think you could dip down and get readiness from the marksmanship tree, as well as, you weren't taking the top talent in Beast Mastery, so it was just very, very powerful.
Scorpid Pet.
Yeah.
That.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, this was good times, though. Marksmanship, I really liked it back then. You multi-shot it. That was the one time where you multi-shot it as a mem, and it felt, I'm doing massive damage right here to the Valkyries on Lich King. Yeah. Wait, no, you said Naxxramas. Wait.
Naxxramas, when we went into that, like Beast Mastery was just ridiculously overpowered and just got.
And then armor penetration happens.
Yeah, armor penetration. Oh yeah, I remember in Naxxramas. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you said ICC. I confused.
Well, I remember Marksman in ICC, as you said, the whole armor penetration stat.
Deathbringer's Will, and then armor penetration gems. He had like 44%, 50% armor penetration when the trinkets procced. It was like 90. Yeah, those were crazy days. Yeah. Well, do we have any? What else do we need to talk about here? We got some. We already kind of did set bonuses, didn't? No, not that question. Are you looking at the 100 topics here?
I am. Yeah, we kind of glanced over. We talked a little bit about set bonuses. They're good. We like them.
Yeah,
we hope they don't get nerfed.
BM one angers me, but makes me happy at the same time.
Oh yeah, you need some like WeCore or something to notify you, because when you're focused on the fight, you don't really have time to check every kill command. Oh, did it reset? Oh, it didn't.
Yeah, I have
a WeCore to track it for sure. Like a big old Beetle Wrath one that like yells at me if it resets.
Yeah, maybe something like shoots fireworks and, here we go. I don't know.
Yeah, mine's literally like 72-point font. Beast of Wrath is up, and then a big ding 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 sound. So I kept missing it too.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we haven't talked about Focus Fire either, which was the other sort of big change for Beast Mastery this tier.
Yeah, right when I was thinking, maybe I should try BM, then they see that and I'm like, oh god, the one thing I liked about BM, why did they think it was a bug? It felt natural, felt good.
Yeah, it just added another like little kind of cool thing to do, right? So you would kill command, you'd Cobra, kill command, Cobra, and then you'd still kind of keep it up. It just added a little bit of extra variables to the rotation, just a little bit. It was cool. But I didn't know how game breaking that actually was. Like, oh dang, we got to fit an extra global in between a Cobra. I don't know. Not the end of the world. Kind of silly.
That's the changes you're talking about, right? Or am I?
Yeah, you got it.
We're talking steady focus, right?
Yeah, you're talking about steady focus. I was talking about Focus Fire, but yeah, steady focus. We forgot to talk about that.
I thought you meant the one where you could sneak in a global between the Cobras. Sorry.
That's right. Because
steady focus.
Yeah, well, steady focus, that right? Because we were saying kill command wasn't being treated as interrupting Cobra shot, basically, because it was a pet ability.
With Focus Fire as well. You could Focus Fire and continue your chain of 2 Cobra shots without it breaking. So basically, only Arcane Shot or Kill Shot broke it, which felt nice. But yeah, what change are you talking about? The focus.
I was just
fire?
saying that the changes to focus fire in general with the buff that it got. Before you just more or less wait for 5 stacks and then pop it, but it's just much more complicated now.
Oh, I like it that way, man. You got to add some of that in-depth play style into the rotations, or I get bored with them.
Yeah, I like that too.
Popping it at any stacks and Stampede, making sure you pop it before it expires, even if it's only like 1 or 2 stacks. Right as before you go into Bestial Wrath, or halfway through Bestial Wrath if you get a stack refresh or something like that. I mean, that's the kind of gameplay I enjoy.
Solar, are you using the weak aura for it or
not? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's why it's boring though, because everybody's just doing what the weak aura tells. There's no real gameplay there.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that yesterday. Because I read somewhere on a YouTube comment. I mean, I know the greatest place to go for discussion. That someone said that World of Warcraft looked way too easy because of all the add-ons and stuff that they give you. So I was thinking, it just had me thinking, what if I got rid of the weak aura for Focus Fire and I did it all based off intuition, right? Mm-hmm. And that would certainly be a mark of a skilled player to be able to do that. But at the same time, I also told myself, well, I don't want to fuck up. Oh, excuse me, I don't want to mess up. Mm-hmm. So it's still in my weak auras, but I know what you mean.
It's just like dot snapshotting used to be.
Yeah.
And if you were, really good at paying attention, you could do it by hand. But almost every decent player used a weak aura to tell them when to do it and when not to, and so there's not really a lot of gameplay.
Yeah, that's certainly a beast, isn't it? Whether or not you should, do it based on or
that focus fire in PvP. Oh my goodness. I switched to BM pretty much only for PvP now because it's just so overpowered, and your burst is insane. I think there's a couple that can burst a little harder, but we've got so much control over it, and it just melts through people. If you go 5 stacks of Frenzy, plus your Bestial Wrath, Crows, there's just everybody's dead.
I just hope they do PvP only nerfs, like they did with Chimera Shot.
Yeah.
It's like,
that'll be interesting.
20% less than PvP. Mm-hmm. If they do that to Kill Command or something, I just hope they go that route.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic because we've been saying this. Like Blizzard has been hearing about, separate PvP and PvE balance things. And they've always said, we don't want to have it complicated. We want to keep it consistent so people are not confused. But then you see that they have to do it a little bit here and there, and they do these small changes that are only affecting PvP. So I'm just wondering if they're still kind of dipping their foot in the water, or maybe they should just accept it and just do all the balancing different for PvP and for PvE. I think that would be a great day.
Just 2 separate rule
well,
sets.
It still blows my mind that they make PvE changes based on PvP or vice versa, but sometimes some abilities will get a different tooltip in PvP. It's like, why can't you just make it the same thing across the board? I just don't get it. Like, why do some changes get a separate tooltip?
Yeah, mainly it's the what's it called? Mainly it's the scaling of things. Like, I'm pretty sure that the reason why Stampede was nerfed was because of PvP, and then they thought, instead of buffing it because it sucks for PvE, let's just make it twice the duration, because that doesn't really destroy PvP.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, 40 seconds of a cooldown. I mean, it's cool, but my trinkets have expired, and that feels kind of awkward. Yeah. I'm still glad they did it, but would have preferred if they just adjusted the numbers for PvP.
But it definitely worked. It's still useless in PvP, so I guess that was successful if that was their goal.
Yep.
Unless maybe you just want to annoy people. It's good at annoying your opponent.
Yeah. Also, your melee. If you have 3 hunters, boom, 15 pets, and behind the boss.
and they get snagged, right?
Artemis has a good plan for. Well, what pet are you using, Artemis?
I'm using my rhino.
Glyphine Stampede.
Mm-hmm. With the Glyph of Stampedes, you have 6 rhinos.
I have 6 rhinos plus the 4 set, and that's another rhino. And if I want to use Dire Beast for some whatever reason, that's another pet. I'm just saying.
I know there's a glyph that reduces the size of your pet, but is there one that
Why would I do
increases
that?
it?
Well, you can
I
take the misdirection
don't
There
know.
used to
glyph.
be the misdirect glyph.
It
yeah.
misdirect. No, it's still enlarges
it's
the
still there.
target.
Bigger, yeah.
So I can just make Rhino Gosling huge.
And you can
must
keep
be
that up
great.
100% with the minor glyph.
The
Jesus.
tanks will hate me. The melee already do not like him anymore. They're like, there's so many rhinos, I can't see mechanic.
Yeah, it's a fun ability. It's fun to do stuff. I like doing stuff like that. Find the biggest,
you have,
most
like-
obnoxious pet possible.
I mean, I just wanted a funny named pet. That's it. I mean, it's not my fault. He's a big old rhino who makes grunting sounds and all sorts of fun sounds in the melee.
Do rhinos still
they're-
have the knockback? They do, right?
I was about to ask that. I couldn't remember.
Yep.
The pin down thing.
That's funny. No, the knockback, the one that just
Knockback,
goes
yeah.
flying. Yeah,
It's
it
so
charges
great.
in all fast. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Or you're near a cliff, just hit somebody with it.
It must be
Didn't it-
great for like Thogar. Like, oh, mass grip. Oh, JK. Knock them all back. I don't know if your guilds do this, but we've reached a point where we kind of mess around. And for Thogar and for Beastlord, specifically Beastlord, what a lot of people do, a lot of our druids do, is they will place the what's called the vortex right before the creep, so everything gets gripped on the boss, and then everything gets back pushed onto the vortex, and then they also like typhoon, and it's like all over the place, and everyone QQs, everyone whines. It's the greatest.
That sounds good.
That is funny. Oh yeah, if you did that in my raid, they'd just get mad that they couldn't do the most damage. It's all
yeah.
seriousness. Yeah.
Oh nah.
That's a good plan. Just make sure nobody can ever pad meters.
Yeah.
Put up your dots on all the ads and then knock them back.
Can I bring a small subject? I guess you probably haven't touched it. The one thing that I'm really not feeling that great about is the fact that I even asked Celestial and they said, nope, no changes are going to happen on that. That you can actually overcap your multi-strike over 100% and you get no benefit for it. It really sucks.
I figured that was going to happen with like the 4-piece proc and a couple trinkets up.
The 4-piece just
It's
gives
just
you
damage, yeah.
damage.
Oh, the damage. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you have the Butcher Trinket and then you have the Chromog Trinket, and then you also have like the, what's it called? The Weapon Enchant. Right now I'm overcapping on the pool, because everything procs on the pool and you use everything. You're overcapping by, depending on your gear, of course, but like 10-15% if you're really good geared.
Are you using Bleeding Heart? Or what was the second one, not
which one is
scales?
it?
Yeah, he's using the Chromog trinket.
Okay.
Chromog
Yeah,
and
so you
Butcher.
can hold that off and use it on the second half of your
I
your-
know.
what's that thing called we use? Stampede. But yeah, it's really kind of disappointing.
I'm not sure what is best. Like, there's obviously a cutoff where it stops being good using it on the pool together with everything, and then you can use it later. But I'm not sure if it's the best.
I'm sure
Then again-
everything's changing with the eye level changes too now. I don't know if that scales is really going to be worth it anymore.
I mean, obviously, you want to eventually, when you kill Blackhand, you want to use the trinket from him.
Or
Especially
when you
now
get it
with
in
the-
your Garrison.
Oh, right, yeah. But a lot of people are not going to have Blackhand killed for a long time, and it really sucks, because those two trinkets are, great multi-strike, survival, yay. But then you feel kind of, I'm wasting a lot of stats here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would like it if it was like, if you're overcapping, you just increase the damage like the 4-piece does. So you don't lose it. Something like that.
I mean, it's not too different than we have a obvious crit cap for
Yeah.
MM during rapid fire, at least. That I think anybody can reach with early, even heroic gear. You're up to that crit cap during careful aim. So it seems they're at least they're aware of it.
Yeah.
Well, what do we got next?
I know I think we're Well,
we're already an hour and a half in. This is a big old show.
I think, as sad as it might be to call it, since it is your last show. So
no, it was so nice. It was a long show. We had Roger come in.
Man, Solarflair. That's really sad to see you go, but good luck with your future pursuits, as we say to the declined people on our application forum.
What am I getting rejected?
I don't know. It's just a phrase that it sounds nice. Good luck with your future. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Even pursuits. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. He's
Solarflair.
leaving us to do something awesome, pretty awesome. So and
we'll all see him at BlizzCon, right?
Yeah, we'll see him at BlizzCon.
You're gonna make the 20-minute drive.
Yeah, the 20-minute drive across town. I think they make the QA people set up the computers and stuff like that.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
So
we have an outside chance, or hopefully a real good chance of being friends and family. Hey.
Oh yeah. I'll look up all the
Hey, I heard Overwatch is coming out soon.
Yeah.
Overwatch beta. Mm-hmm.
Beta.
Just give me my email here under the table.
Overwatch Alpha is what
Alpha.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I've been practicing playing CS:GO. Getting my aim all good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. People are starting to come back to
Gonna be a
Counter-Strike
sniper.
in preparation of Overwatch, man. That's funny. A lot of my friends started doing that.
Yeah, we want to get into the next expansion, when all the NPCs are nothing but the textured cubes and everything's broken and we can start giving feedback.
Fun stuff.
We're ready to go. All right. Well, on that note, you have been listening to episode 213 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I am Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Artemishowl from the Warcraft Hunters Union and Artemishowl on Twitter.
I'm Solarflair from Cloak and Quiver, the J.J. Abrams movies, and at _Solarflair on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
All right. Check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader. And these links will, of course, be available in our show notes.
If you have a question or topic you would like to discuss on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet and a follow at huntingpartypod.
Today's episode brought to you by a stampede of Rhino Gosling.
Awesome. Stay thirsty, my friends. Remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Always flare at the choke points.
Siempre está la emoción de lo salvaje.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
Don't forget to pay your dues.
And for the Horde.
A life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer, I rock out with my lockout cause I can jump shot BM, MM, and SB. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top meters every fight. Raiding and cave, dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnar.